The year is 1880. Across America, a strange contradiction is unfolding. On one side of the city, industrial workers rise before dawn, earning no more than $2.50 for a day's grueling labor. On the other side, millionaires hold extravagant parties, where women arrive with beehive-shaped headdresses, glittering entirely with diamonds. And while champagne flows freely in gilded ballrooms, somewhere else, only a few blocks away, 675 workers die every week in horrific industrial accidents. Their deaths barely matter. Employers simply replace them by the next morning, as if human lives were no more valuable than broken tools. Welcome to the Gilded Age, a world of dazzling wealth and crushing poverty. It's the spring of 1887. The first grey light of dawn leaks through a single grime-covered window in your tenement. You call it a room, but in truth it's more like a wooden box. 300 square feet that somehow holds your entire family. The air still carries the sour scent of yesterday's cabbage soup, mixing with the overpowering stench of sewage drifting up from the single toilet shared by 20 families. Your back aches. The one mattress is occupied by your parents and the youngest children. You and your brothers and sisters sleep on the bare boards with nothing but thin blankets. Each time you shift, splinters catch at your skin, the floorboards groan, and the walls, so thin they might as well be paper, carry the sounds of your neighbors. Mr. Kowalski coughs violently next door, his lungs slowly destroyed by coal dust. A baby wails 3 doors down. Someone is always coughing, always crying. This is the Lower East Side of Manhattan, where more than 100 souls crowd into each floor of a tenement, where every morning begins with a line just to collect a single bucket of water. The buildings themselves are death traps, built cheaply with rotting timbers and narrow hallways. Fires rip through them constantly. In 1882 alone, more than 35,000 people died in tenement fires. Nearly 100 people every single day burned alive because landlords refused to spend money on fire escapes. Hunger gnaws at your stomach. Bread costs 5 cents a loaf, but when your father earns just $1 a day, food alone swallows nearly everything. 30 cents goes to rent for this cramped, miserable room. The rest barely stretches far enough for clothing, medicine, or coal in the winter. Your youngest sister coughs weakly in her sleep. Tuberculosis, consumption. Last winter, the Murphy children down the hall died the same way. 1 in 5 children here never lives past their 5th birthday. And deep down, you fear your sister will not see spring. Your mother rises quietly, her hands cracked and raw from scrubbing clothes for the wealthy. She slips into the hall to claim the single washboard shared by 5 families. If she waits too long, she loses her turn. This is survival, every day, every hour. "You're awake already," she whispers. "Couldn't sleep. The Rosenbergs were fighting again." She nods, weary. "Better get dressed. The factory whistle will blow soon." You are 12 years old, yet already 2 years into your job at the textile mill. Your task, crawling beneath massive iron looms to untangle broken threads before the foreman notices. Just last week, a boy named Sammy lost 3 fingers when a loom started up as he worked beneath it. His wages were docked. His family was left with nothing. And you're terrified every time you crawl under those machines, but your family cannot afford your fear. Outside, the streets are already alive. Horses clatter across cobblestones. Vendors shout. The air reeks of rotting garbage, horse manure, and smoke. In the summer heat, the stench becomes unbearable, and with it comes disease, cholera, typhoid, dysentery, sweeping through the tenements, taking thousands of lives. You make your way to Grand Street. A carriage rolls past, black lacquer, gold trim, 4 white horses. Inside, a woman in silk and diamonds glances through the window. For a fleeting second, your eyes meet. Then she looks away, as if you don't exist. This is the Gilded Age. The contrast is everywhere, impossible to ignore. A few miles uptown, the Vanderbilt family is completing their summer cottage in Newport. 70 rooms, gold leaf ceilings, indoor plumbing. Its cost, in today's money, $300 million. While your sister dies of tuberculosis in a dark tenement room, Alva Vanderbilt spends the modern equivalent of $6 million on a single evening's party. Champagne in solid gold goblets, imported orchids, an orchestra playing as 10,000 butterflies are released into the air. Your stomach growls again. The factory looms ahead, red brick, chimneys belching black smoke. Children no older than 6 trudge alongside you, eyes half shut with exhaustion. The foreman waits at the gate, pocket watch in hand. "Jenkins!" he shouts. The boy is 8 years old. 2 minutes late yesterday. A penny off your wages." No protest. There never is. For every child who falters, another waits outside, desperate for work. Inside, the heat and noise overwhelm you. Hundreds of looms thunder together, filling the air with a choking haze of cotton dust. Workers call it white lung. After a decade, breathing becomes nearly impossible. By 40, most textile workers are either dead or dying. You crouch at your machine. The floor is stained dark, old blood from accidents no one bothered to clean. "Under!" the line boss barks, pointing to a tangled thread. You drop to your knees and crawl beneath the machine. Above you, iron arms crash together, inches from your head. One slip, one moment of hesitation, and your life could end. Meanwhile, on Fifth Avenue, Caroline Astor is planning her next grand ball. She orders thousands of exotic butterflies to release into the night sky, creatures that cost more than your family will earn in 3 years. This is America in the 1880s, a nation gilded in gold, dazzling on the surface, but rotting underneath. A place where luxury and suffering stand side by side, where a single carriage ride can take you from unimaginable wealth to unendurable poverty, where the very same city can offer a palace to one family and a coffin of a room to another. The Gilded Age, a time when America looked like a land of promise, while countless lives were consumed in its shadows. The factory air is thick with soot, machines rattling like iron beasts that never sleep. Children with faces still round from youth bend over dangerous gears, their small hands raw from endless hours. 12, sometimes 16 hours a day, their world is nothing but noise, heat, and the sting of hunger. The bosses don't care who bleeds, who loses a finger, who faints from exhaustion. There's always another desperate child waiting outside the gates, hoping to trade their childhood for a wage that barely keeps starvation at bay. When the shift finally ends, the walk home feels endless. Streets are crowded with carriages carrying the wealthy, their windows glowing with candlelight, their laughter spilling out into the night. You look down at your torn shoes, your stomach gnawing with emptiness, and the contrast burns deeper than the ache in your legs. At home, The tenement is alive with noise. Coughs echo through thin walls, babies cry, water drips from a ceiling stained with rot. Your mother waits with a bowl of watery cabbage soup, her eyes tired but soft. She bandages your hands when you cut yourself on the factory blades, her fingers trembling from exhaustion. She never complains. Her silence is heavier than words. Dinner is no feast, just bread hard as stone and soup too thin to fill you. Your father slumps in the corner, his shoulders bowed, his hands trembling from endless shifts of back-breaking labor. He used to laugh once. You wonder if you'll ever hear it again. Through the thin walls, you hear the neighbors. The man next door coughs with the hollow rattle of tuberculosis. His wife whispers prayers. Their little girl doesn't wake. In these tenements, life and death share the same room. The nights are cold. You sleep in clothes that still smell of oil and sweat, huddled close to your siblings for warmth. Dreams rarely come, and when they do, they are filled with machines, with the echo of the foreman's shouts, with a hunger that never loosens its grip. And while you lie there, eyes heavy, the city above you gleams. Mansions glow with golden light. Tables are laid with roasted meats. Champagne flows like water. Diamonds sparkle in the hair of women who will never know what it means to ache with hunger. This is the Gilded Age, a world where some live like kings while others fight just to see another morning. The newspapers speak of progress, of industry, of America's rising greatness. But in the cramped rooms of these tenements, in the smoke of these factories, the cost of that greatness is measured in broken childhoods, in bodies bent before their time, in lives that burn out before they ever have the chance to begin. And as you drift into uneasy sleep, one thought remains: tomorrow will be no different. And yet, for the wealthy, tomorrow will bring another ball, another banquet, another glass of champagne raised in a toast to prosperity. The Gilded Age was never golden for those who built it. Its shine was bought with sweat, with blood, and with the stolen youth of a generation.
Today he sets out with a purpose. 6 blocks away stands the shoe factory, and that is where he'll try his luck. His shoulders are squared, but the tension in his jaw betrays the truth. He is only 10, and already burdened with fear that men 3 times his age carry. But there is no choice. In families like his, the loss of even one wage means a slow slide toward eviction, hunger, and the street. "Do you think they'll take me?" he whispers, careful not to wake the others huddled in the narrow room. His voice carries the weight of desperation, not innocence. You answer quickly, forcing confidence you do not feel. "Of course they will. You're quick with your hands. Just keep the bad one in your pocket during the interview." He nods, his eyes too old for a face still rounded with boyhood. Then comes the quiet truth. "If I don't find work today, I'll try the coal yard tomorrow." The words make your stomach tighten. The coal yard, where men dig their own graves with each breath of black dust, where lungs turn to stone and bodies waste away. It is always hiring, because no one lasts long. Children can slip in unnoticed, no questions asked, no birth certificates required, just a shovel and a strong enough back. But you won't let him go there. Not yet. "You'll get the shoe factory job," you say firmly, ruffling his hair like a parent would, trying to anchor him to a childhood he never had. "Just smile. Look strong." Outside, the pre-dawn air is heavy with fog and the acrid smoke of countless chimneys. In the tenement districts, this haze never truly lifts. The streets are alive already, a silent army marching toward the factories and sweatshops that fuel America's industrial might. Women move briskly, shawls wrapped tight against the cold. Men carry dented lunch pails, jaws clenched with resignation. And then there are the children. So many children. Some no older than 5 or 6, trudging with weary steps beside their parents or in clusters of other child laborers. At the corner of Orchard and Delancey, you see Sadie from the 3rd floor. 16 years old, and already her fingers are scarred and bleeding from long days as a seamstress in one of the Lower East Side's endless garment shops. She falls into step beside you, her voice soft but edged with exhaustion. "Heard about Tommy?" she asks. "He's trying the shoe factory on Essex," you reply. Her brow furrows instantly. "The one with the basement workroom, no windows." You nod grimly. She knows as well as you do. Basements where the air hangs thick with leather dust, where chemical fumes from glues and dyes claw at the lungs. It is misery hidden underground, but still better than the coal yard. Sadie hesitates, then shifts the subject. "Hey, did you hear about the Keller place?" "What about it?" you ask, bracing. "Burnt down last night. 4 families got out. 2 didn't." You stop mid-step, the news striking like a physical blow. In these cramped tenements, fire is the enemy that stalks every family, striking without warning, consuming whole lives in minutes. Another reminder of how thin the line is between survival and tragedy.
Fire is every tenement dweller's nightmare. The buildings are perfect kindling, dried-out wood stacked too close together, stairways choked with people, too few exits, no safety measures. Once the flames catch, they race upward and outward, consuming everything in their path. You don't fight a tenement fire, you just pray it doesn't start in your building. "Jesus," you mutter, "anyone we know?" "The Russos, I think, and the O'Malleys." The words sink like stones. The O'Malleys, neighbors who had lived directly above your family for 3 long years before moving over to the Keller building. 5 children, the youngest born only last spring. "All of them?" you ask, though part of you doesn't want the answer. Sadie shrugs, but her eyes glisten. "Don't know yet. They're still finding bodies." That's how it goes in the tenements. Death is never far, never a stranger. It walks the hallways with you, shares the stairwell, waits in the shadows. It comes so often that you learn to brace yourself for it, yet you never quite grow numb. Not fully, not when it's people you know. You part ways with Sadie at Canal Street. She heads east toward the garment district where rows of sweatshops hum with the ceaseless clatter of sewing machines. You keep walking south toward the textile mill. The city is alive now. Street vendors wheel out their carts, their voices already calling for customers. Shop owners sweep dust from their storefronts, preparing for another day. The contrast is jarring. On one block, the tenements, bleak, overcrowded, suffocating. On the next, the commercial streets, bright with color, noisy with trade, buzzing with the illusion of prosperity. At a corner newsstand, bold headlines leap out from the front pages. A millionaire's newest indulgence. A yacht, glittering and decadent, its cost greater than what hundreds of families will ever earn in a lifetime. You stare at the words, the disconnect, sharp as a blade. In these neighborhoods, people burn alive in rotting wooden buildings. Just a few miles uptown, men in suits float leisurely on gilded waters. 2 worlds sharing the same city, yet separated by an abyss no one seems willing to bridge.